Hi, welcome to session 6. In this session, we're going to look at how to load data from DSO, data into DSO, and Infocube from PSA. So if you remember, the PSA is the temporary storage area where we loaded our flat file data into this PSA, right? So now we also saw what is the DSO, what is an Infocube. So now in this session, we should be able to load data from PSA into DSO and Infocube, right? So let's go ahead and begin to load data into DSO, and I will tell you what are the steps available for that, right? I'm going to log into the SAP BW, okay? All right, this is I'm giving the user ID and password, and then I'll go to the data warehousing workbench, okay? It's a modeling place, modeling area, data warehouse workbench modeling, right? So it's right now we have the DSO, and you can see the data here, right? If you double click on the DSO, it will take you to the manage PSA and data. We already loaded the data here, right? We got this. So it's right now in a temporary storage area, okay? So this has to be further moved into the data store object and Infocube, okay? Let's do that. So I will keep this instance live, and then I'm going to open up another instance to load data, okay? Let's do that. Backslash. If I say N, it will replace the same screen, right? Same instance, right? So I'm going to say O, RSA1, okay? So it will create another instance where we can work on loading the data into DSO. So now we were in data source, so we need to go to the info provider. Okay, click on info provider. It automatically takes you to the same info area where you were there before. So we have DSO and then Infocube, right? So let's start with the DSO. So what you will do to load data into DSO from PSA, I'll take a. So this is the step we should do, okay? Session 6, loading data from PSA into DSO and Infocube, okay? First step is to create transformation, okay, on top of DSO. Again, second is the create DTP. DTP is data transfer process, okay? Let's go ahead and do that, all right? I select DSO, right click, create transformation, okay? So now it's bringing me another screen where it's telling me it already know what is the DSO name. That is the target, right? But what is the source name? We have to select the source name, okay? So object type is a data source, and what is the data source name? ZDS. I already selected for some other training, I think. Okay. So ZDS SDY NES. Okay. Right. And then the flat file, the source system name. Okay. Source system name is, this one is ZFF. This is a source system name, right? You can see source system name and data source name, right? So now select this. Okay. So it's taking you to another instance or another screen where it is showing us the data source name, and then the list of the data source available there fields, and then the DSO, and and then the list of DSO, right? So now we have to connect these two. Transformation is basically you're transferring data, you're connecting two different sources. It could be anything, data source and DSO or DSO and Infocube, and then we will load the data in the next step, right? So let me connect this one. Employee number, EMP name, okay, employee city, team, design, designation, right? Gender, right? And age. Finally, the most important thing, salary. Okay. I want to see whether it's working fine or not. Okay, I'm going to give checklist. So it says that, okay, this is a zero record mode, is a user defined or SAP defined info object which will be added to every DSO whenever you create one. This is for the delta update, like, it will act as a info object for tracking the updation of the DSO. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so I would like to give this as an assignment. Find out what is zero record mode in standard DSO. Okay, if you cannot find any answer, then you can reach out to me. I will explain to you. But it is, the reason why I am saying like this is you should be able to also do some research and then start, working on it. There is a place where we can go. It's basically Google. You can go. If not, you can go something like sdn.sap.com. Okay. Okay. So find out what is a zero record mode in standard DSO and what is the use of it. Okay. How it is used. Maybe this is an interview question also. Like, so there will be some people who will be asking. Also, I would like to give something in the interview question. This is a default question. What are the different types of DSO and explain them? When do you use it? Okay. All right. Okay. Let's. And then it's also telling something else, right? Z gender 1 source and target field length. Let's see what is this. Okay. So it's giving a warning message saying that the length of target is shorter than the length of source. This can lead to a lot of loss of information. Okay, you understand that, right? The reason it's giving you warning is when we load data from any source to another source, so the most of the time the length of the field should be similar. Otherwise, there will be a loss in the data, right? For example, it says that gender 1 03 in the source, but gender 1 is basically we remember we created a info object with the length of 1, right? Because we know the input is always 1, but here this data source we should have changed it already when we created the data source, but data source just took everything. Maybe there is a space in between, so I don't know, like a leading characters. That's why it took it assumed as 3. Okay, but we are fine, right? So, but we should be very careful in designing our info objects based on the data input. Okay, because it's a warning sign, you don't have to worry about it, and click. It says no errors found. Okay, and then activate it. Now it is activated, right? So once it's activated, the transformation is done. The next step is to create the data transfer process. So you already linked the DSO and data source, right? So now we have to load data from here. The data is already available in the data source. It should go to the DSO, right? So that's called the transfer process. You transfer the data from one source to another source. Okay. Now create data transfer process. So if you can see this, the pop-up, it says a data transfer process, DTP type, and then target is data store object. Source is data source, because we already defined here, right? That's why it's saying source is a data source. Okay, we don't have to do anything here. Click OK. Now there is 3 tabs in the DTP. Okay, the first tab has the source object extraction mode. Extraction mode can be full or a delta. Full means every time when you load data, it will, irrespective of the data available or not in the DSO, it will delete everything and then load again. Delta is what does delta do is it will only take the updated record or added new records only. So that way we decrease our data loading time, right? That's what the delta is used for. Okay. And then there is something called filter here. If you see the filter, so this is a place where you can filter the data coming into DSO. For example, if you would like to filter based on the city or maybe a team, okay, or age based on the age. So all these things can be filtered at this level so that we can get our data what we need, right? Okay, and then click update. That update tab. The update tab, you just this is like these are all, we are not yet in master data, so not to worry about it. Okay, and click execute. Execute. The execute button is not enabled right now, right? The reason is you have to activate the DTP. Otherwise, until you activate, this version will be yellow, inactive, non-executable, right? So click on activate. Now we have got the DTP created here and the execute button is enabled, right? Click on execute button. It's asking the request generated by the DTP will now be processed. We want to display the request monitor. Yes, I want to see what's happening, right? Okay, so because it's very less data, 10 data only, 10 records only, it already loaded. By the time we clicked it, it's already there. It's already there. Okay, so data is loaded. Now we will go back and then see how are the things are working in the DSO. So is the data already loaded into DSO? Yes, but where? Into the new data table. So let's see how it is working. Okay, I'm going to click on manage. Okay, so when you click on manage for the DSO, you see a request, right? So every time you load data, there will be one request created. Okay, so for this request, the data is only in new data table. For example, if you go back and see, I would have explained DSO consists of 3 different tables, right? New, active, and change log. Okay, so when I click new now, display of inactive data, right? When I click new now and then click on number of entries, it says 10 entries, right? Click close OK. Click. So you see data is here, correct? I want to go back again. I want to click on active data, number of entries, nothing is there. right? You cannot, don't take you, it will not even take you there, okay? Again, change log table, number of entries, 0, okay? The reason is, we have loaded data into DSO and it's right now at the new data table only. To bring it from new data to active data, we have to activate the DSO, right? Select the request, click active, wait, and select this request again, click on start, okay? Okay, now it's successfully, the job is successfully created. It's going to load the data. So if you want to see there are two ways where you can see, okay? We can check whether data is loaded or one is a load monitor. If you can see here, it should show you, okay, it's loaded, it says 10 loaded, right? Also, there's another place where you can go and see the jobs are running or not. That's called, you will learn another, right, or you're going to learn another transaction, okay? That's called to check the jobs in BW. Transaction ID is SM37, okay? So 0, sorry, it's not 0, it's O, right? SM37, okay? So now it's taking you another screen where it will, a job name is star and my username I've given, okay? Let me see what is the active jobs. There is no active job because it's already completed, right? Finished job. So this many jobs have been finished on my name for the last 1 day, okay? So our job is already done and then it's loaded. I can see already it's in the green status, right? It is run. Now again, let's go back to the content tab, click on new data and see number of entries. It's 0 because the data has been transferred from new data into the active data table, okay? Now I click on active data, number of entries 10, right? So now the data is already moved, right? It's moved there, okay? Let's go and see what is the change log table asset, okay? Number of entries 10, and then you see the data there. But if you notice, if you would have noticed, properly, you would have seen there is some difference or some extra fields available in the change log table than the active log table. So I would like to give you, find out what is the difference between active table and change log table in standard DSO. Okay. We have to, every step we should start learning what is going on. Otherwise, we will forget. That's the reason I'm giving you like this. Okay. All right. Okay. So there is another way you can see data also in DSO. It's called right click or any object, display data. Okay. And select field select for output. So click on select characteristics. Okay. Okay. So you see the data in this way also, right? So now we have the data in the DSO, correct? So next is to load data from DSO to the data from DSO to Infocube. Okay. Let's do that. So we already have the Infocube in the same info area. I want to create a transformation from this Infocube. Okay. I click create transformation. Again, we should let the system know what is the source and target. The target is already available because we selected on target. The source should be DSO. Okay, classic DSO, and the name of the DSO is the DSO SDY. Okay, click on OK now. Okay, so now see if you can see the difference between the last transformation we did on DSO and then one on Infocube. In the DSO transformation, the source and target are not connected, right? But here in the Infocube, it is connected already. Can you find the difference between? Can you say somebody why there is a difference? Could anybody tell? See, the thing is, when you try to connect from data source to DSO, the info object's name are totally different. Okay, so system does not know what to match. Okay, but here, between DSO and Infocube, the names are very similar, right? So it does know that okay, these are the matching fields. So it is connecting by itself. System is helping you to connect by itself, so that you don't. If you want to change it, yes, please, you can delete it and then select on anything, delete, and then you can redo or change it whichever way you want to do based on our requirement. Okay, so but now it is connected already. I'm going to activate it. Okay, it says initial update field selected. Okay, which is fine. Okay, it's transformation activated successfully. Also, it created a folder for us for the data transfer process, right? I will right click, create data transfer process. Now it automatically knows what is the target, what is the source, right? And then I click OK. You see here the same way we have 3 tabs in the DSO, the same way we have it's again DTP, right? So that's the same thing, right? So source object is DSO, and then the filter is there. It's a delta load update method. Okay, Infocube where you are updating, and then execute. You're going to execute to load the data. Okay, to execute to make this one enable, we have to activate the. Okay, I activated it, right? Okay, now click on execute. I want to see the DTP. It would have been already done with just 10 records, right? It's already done, right? So now we will go back and see how data loaded or not. So in the Infocube, and I'm going to click on manage. Okay. Again, you will see one request here, right? So every time you load data, there is a separate request created. Okay. So that we can keep track of what is the data loaded, how many. So it says the transfer record, added record, data update, right? Okay, let's go see the content here. In the content, you see 3 different, no, the delete selection, we don't have to worry about it. Okay, this is a dimension name. You remember dimension name? I told right dimension name. Okay, so here Infocube content. So it will take you to the place where you can see the content of the Infocube. Field selection, select all characteristics. We don't need the SID, right? Click OK. Okay. Then, so now the data is already available in the Infocube, right? I'll go back. You see something called fact table also, right? Let's click on fact table. What is there in the fact table? Okay. Number of entries are 10. Okay, the 10 records, right? 10 entries. Let's see what is available in the. So in the fact table, what is there? You know, if you remember about extended star schema, I said that fact table, it consists of a fact table and the dimension table, right? So here, fact table consists of our key figures and the dimension IDs, right? Okay, dimension IDs. Let's go back. Okay, so you should go around and play, you know, play between these two. Like you should see what are going on. You can click on everything and then just to learn what you get. Okay, we will learn about all the other things in the later class. Okay, so these are all the extended topics for the InfoCube. I will teach you in the further classes. Okay. Okay. Now the data is loaded. You want to see the data flow, right? This is the top level right now, but we loaded from where to where? We loaded from flat file to InfoCube, flat file to DSO, DSO to InfoCube, right? So let's see the data flow, how it is having. So how do you see the data flow? Just right click on any of the info provider. Okay, and say display data flow. Okay, it's asking you whether you want upwards or downward. I would say upward and downward. Okay. So now this is the data flow of our process, right? So we loaded from flat file into DSO, into data source, and from data source into DSO, and then into the InfoCube. So now we have successfully loaded the data, right? So what I prefer right now is, I have always sent the step-by-step material for step-by-step document to load data from a flat file to InfoCube. Okay, so you guys can either listen to the video and start working on it, or you can even use the step-by-step document to do that. Okay, so go ahead and work on it. Like create a flat file. You can use the same flat file what I created here, or you can do by yourself. Okay, then start loading from flat file to DSO, DSO to InfoCube. Okay. So I would wrap up this session right now, and then in the next session I will go and talk about the other topics as well. Okay. Thank you.